feel like I have to paint the strategy here on some of these things, but yeah, I mean, as far as like financially speaking, and so many different ways that everything connects. Have you ever heard of this great philosopher Hermes? He came way before Da Vinci and stuff like that. This great philosopher Hermes was one of the great inspirations of people like Da Vinci, actually. So, but it was a person with a wide breadth of knowledge. It was like an all-knowing person. He knew things in 12 different disciplines, to the best of the times. He was one of the great ancient philosophers of obviously setting human history forward. If he was one of the major inspirations of people like those in the Renaissance. So now what we're going to get into here is a bit of a topic. It would be like kind of painting bigger pictures and kind of, painting bigger goals, and seeing how, maybe you can see the openings. You look at me as a chess player and you're like, hey, well, maybe, he's seeing these openings, like this guy's doing a lot of this, philosophy-based work, which involves, again, some of these like stone push-ups and stuff like this. Greek life. I mean, this is where the Olympics began, and you have to think about what their workouts were. It was going to be certainly more so on the in front of the sunlight, in the sunlight, on the stone, on the bricks. But these were also people that were building, the architecture and the structures too. So basically like strongman, boulder work, stuff like that. You can imagine they're probably doing push-ups, body weight squats. They're human beings. They would have found these things. But look at the sculptures. The sculpture of David, stuff like this. They're built, right? Because they're building with stone and stuff like that. But also they're thinkers too, right? Yeah, so it's both. So that's the both. That's the best, right? Because these are also thinkers. These are also the ones that are doing the thought. They're putting down the thought and the philosophy as well. So that's what it's all about. When you see the structures there, and they have a musculature to their physique. The Greeks do, and they're also doing it with the thought. And that they're building these structures with great architecture, great design, artful design as well, and they hold up forever as well. So the philosophy, that's the ode to that's the proof of the philosophy. The structures that they built, the physical structures, hold up to this day. I mean, that if that's so much proof to the philosophy right there. The structures hold up to this day. They're artful in design, and these were the people that were writing those books back then. The ancient Greeks and stuff like that. And so this is what they would have been doing, for workouts. They would have been out in the sunlight, but they're also keeping that eye on their intellectual mind as well.